Then moving up the card, one more. We got Joshua Culibao, 9-1-1 record, 1-1-1 in the UFC. This is his first win in the UFC. He lost to Jalen Turner and had a draw with Charles Jourdain. So a little bit greener than the two previous guys, although coming out of Australia, obviously they have typically have less fights before they make it to the big show, just because there's not as many guys to fight down there. Only a handful of countries in that kind of Pacific region that they can compete with. But yeah, fighting at 145 pounds. I think this fight was at 145 pounds. Yes, this fight was. He also fights at 155 pounds. His one loss is actually at 155 pounds. He was the Super Fight MMA and Diamondback Featherweight champion, which are two promotions out of Australia. Australia doesn't really have any big promotions. There's not, to my knowledge at least, there's not really a big regional dominator as far as I'm aware. So, the fact that he was able to pick up a couple of these different local scenes. He also won the Hex title. So, clearly very dominant while he was in Australia. And, this fight was pretty interesting. So, obviously, the first round, Nuerdanbieke came out, took him down a couple times, really held him against the fence, probably won that first round. I think he won that first round. I think the judges had it all 29-28. Yeah, they did. So I'm guessing they saw him winning that first round as well. And then the second round, they came out. Josh was able to keep him, on the end of that jab, was able to keep him away, kind of pick him apart. Third round was a little bit closer. Nuerdanbieke, Shalian, the Chinese fighter, hard name to pronounce, but he was able to take him down once or twice. But really, what didn't have the control he had in the first round, he gassed out. Ended up getting cracked really hard. I think it broke his nose. He was bleeding pretty good. His nose looked pretty rough shape. I think the decision went the right way. The judges had the score perfect, 29-28, 2-1 for Joshua. I'm not sure what he can do from this point on. I think he's obviously not quite ready for a top 15 guy. Maybe give him another newcoming guy. I think with a lot of these guys from Australia, because they tend to be a little green, just because there's not as much talent to fight down there, you generally have to build them up a little bit slower than maybe somebody who's coming in from a Eastern European background or a Brazilian background or somewhere where the talent pool is much deeper. So by the time they make it to the UFC, they've already been tested a good bit. So, maybe get him a fight against another new guy for his next fight. Maybe for his next couple of fights, get him, a couple lower ranked guys that aren't even ranked. And then, if he can string a couple of wins together, possibly give him a ranked guy to try and fight. But again, at 45, one of the thickest divisions, especially, a lot of those 55ers, some of them at least are able to make 45. So, in a really thick division, but be interesting to see. And then Bruno Gustavo da Silva, the other man in the picture, 75K Dana. So obviously everyone's trying to make the fight bonus a permanent 75K after Tony Ferguson did it last week, managed to get it for their fight. So this guy, his record 12-5-2 after this win this morning, or this win this weekend, sorry. 2-2-1 in the UFC. He has, obviously had a mixed record in the UFC, but his record overall is not too bad, especially when you consider that some of these fights were at bantamweight. He does fight at both 135 and 125 pounds. But yeah, just ridiculous power. The second he hit him, he just cracked him and it was down. And we've seen that in his last two fights. His last two fights, he's got a performance of the night. Just quick knockout. This one was even quicker. This one was a minute. The last one was in the second round, in the second minute of the second round. He lost to Dvorak by decision, who is, won a fight earlier on this card. Is 19-1 on just an absolute tear. He also lost to Ulanbekov, who is another guy from that kind of Eastern European. I think he's an Eastern. He might be another Kazakhstani. Tagir. Yeah, he's a Dagestani. 13-1. Yeah. So, he's only losing to like these top prospects coming out of Eastern Europe right now. There's like a whole wave of them that are just coming to take over. Um, and then yeah, he had the Khalid fight. Taha originally won that by submission, but then he tested positive for PEDs, so that ended up getting overturned to a no contest. Um, yeah, honestly, just insane power, especially for flyweight. But with his hit and miss record, unless he's able to pull together a couple of good wins, I don't really see him doing much of the division. The big thing is he seems to not be able to get a win over any of the big guys. If you look at his fight record, anytime he fights a guy that's a top, I don't even really necessarily top tier, like kind of like a top 50 guy, he's unable to kind of pull it through. But you know, if he can keep this power and just keep winning like this, then yeah, it'll be he'll definitely, the thing that he has going for him is with that power, especially in that division, he'll be able to get a title shot so soon because Dana will want to market him. So, and then he could always crack and win the championship, right? But yeah, all in all, just crazy impressive performance for him. Obviously earned him a performance of the night, $50K. I don't think they ended up getting $75K. But yeah, just super impressive by him. So congratulations to all these guys. I expect big things from these Eastern European guys. Eastern Europe is just producing a lot of fucking talent right now. And as for Gustavo da Silva, I expect, he'll probably be an exciting fighter that's around for a while. I don't know if he'll ever be able to get a title. And Culibao, kind of the same thing. He likes to scrap. He's a little bit more technical. We might see him. I think he's fairly young too. We might see him he's only 26. So we might still see him learn quite a bit and get better. So he's an interesting prospect as well. But yeah, Bruno, 31 years old, the way he fights, with the power he has, I don't see him ever winning the title, but I think he'll be a great, exciting fighter for the next couple of years. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see